What is going on this evening, brothers? This is Craig James here, bringing you another episode of the Masculine by Design Mancast. Today's episode is on the topic of whether your children know that you have their back. Before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you guys that if you have not followed me yet on Twitter, please go do that now. My handle is @masculinedesign. That is where I'm most active on social media. Also, if you get value out of these podcasts, I know I don't produce them as regularly as I would like, probably not as regularly as you would like either, but I try to produce at least a few episodes every month. I have a very busy schedule, and the best thing that you can do to pay it forward, to help me get this message out to more men, to hopefully one day allow me to do this on a daily basis or maybe a few times a week, is leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. If you do that, you will help me get this message out there, help me build an audience, and allow me to reach more men with this message of positive masculinity. Now, I want to give a shout out to my boy, my man, Evolved Phil. You can find him on Twitter. I believe his handle is Evolved Phil, but he is the inspiration for today's podcast episode. He posted something online about, it was on Twitter. He posted it with a screenshot of a text message between he and his daughter. And he essentially told her, don't worry about anything that goes on today. Remember, I have your back. And so I'm paraphrasing, but it got me thinking about a recent episode that I've had in my own family where I had a distinct opportunity to make sure that my oldest daughter and the rest of my children knew good and well that I have their back. That even when they are making tough decisions, actually, no, especially when they are making tough decisions, their father was there behind them, was there to support them, and nothing could ever change that. And so in my own family, we had a situation where my oldest daughter went to a birthday party, so she's in 5th grade. And she goes to this birthday party, and while they're there, another little girl who was at that party decided to pull up pictures of gay pornography. So these are gay male porn actors. And she started showing these images, to these videos or pictures, to my daughter and to some of the other girls there. My daughter was uncomfortable. She quickly left that situation and didn't really know exactly how to go about that. This is kind of the first time she's dealt with this. She, I'm sure, struggled quite a bit with how does she bring this to my attention, to my wife's attention. And she sat on it for about a half a day, and then decided to bring it to my wife's attention. Now, when she brought it to our attention, we had a talk with her about what she had seen and the sinful nature of it, and why that's something that her removing herself from that situation was the right thing to do. But beyond that, we had to make a tough decision. How do we handle this? Because surely, or at least most likely, the other girls weren't going to be as forthcoming with this, especially the one who was guilty of showing these images to the other girls. And so, the decision was made that, we would reach out to the parents of these other girls, let them know what had happened. And understandably, we knew very well that the likelihood, especially of the girl who was guilty of showing these photos to the other girls, we knew good and well that the likelihood that her mother was going to dig in and defend her daughter was pretty high. I mean, they go to a Christian private school. This would not be good for her image or her daughter's image. She's divorced, so I don't think the father is the father's not in the home. I don't know how involved he is or isn't. But my presumption was she was probably going to get defensive. I also knew that the other girls who were involved, there was about 5 in total, would probably not like that my daughter was coming forth with this information that was then going to get their parents involved. And she expressed some worry over this. My daughter, her name's Riley, she said, Dad, I'm a little worried. These kids might tease me. They might bully me when they find out that I come out and I have, told you guys about this, and now you're going to reach out to these parents, and we're going to reach out to the principal of the school as well. And I said, Riley, what is the right thing to do here? And I let her make that decision. The right thing to do is to make sure that the parents know and that what happened is exposed, and there are repercussions for those who were involved who were guilty. But I told her, I said, Riley, you are doing the right thing here, and I will support you. And I had to dig in quite a bit too, because she's in 5th grade, and I was pretty sure she was telling me the truth and that she wasn't involved in this in any nefarious way. and that she was kind of an innocent bystander. But I asked her a number of times, Riley, you were not involved in this, right? You are not guilty. You did not participate in this. No, Dad, I didn't. And you know, us parents, we're pretty good at telling when our children are lying to us, especially when they're at that younger age. They haven't quite figured out how to lie to us too effectively yet. And so I could tell she was being honest. And I told her, so Riley, if you're being honest, I said, I will defend you tooth and nail. I said, if your principal does not believe your story, if the other parents don't believe your story, I will defend you to the end. I said, but if you are lying to me, and it comes out that you are lying to me, I said, that is going to greatly erode the trust that we share with one another, and our relationship is going to be damaged. I said, not irreparably, but it will be damaged. And she was telling the truth. And so things played out pretty much exactly as we expected. You know, a few of the parents whose daughters were kind of just exposed to the images, but they weren't actually the one to pull them up and show them to the other girls. You know, they pretty much felt the same way we did, that was not a good situation. They had talks with their daughters to stave off the risk that would happen again. The mother of the daughter, who was the one who pulled up the pictures, she of course said, no, my daughter would never look at something like that, and you know, she doesn't even have the internet on her phone, and a number of excuses. But it went down the way my daughter explained it. She even sent a few messages to my daughter after the fact, asking, you know, why she told, and that she didn't really mean to pull up those pictures. It was an accident, this kind of thing. So I know that my daughter was telling the truth. But at school, for weeks on end, the girls continued to tease her. They continued to bully her. They called her a tattletale. And my wife was talking to some of the other mothers, letting them know what was going on. I had a letter sent to the principal, an email letting him know what was going on, that it was not acceptable. Another week went by. It continued on. I sent the principal a very poignant email telling him that if he did not get what was going on under control, that I was going to pull my children from the school. And after that, some proactive action, or I should say reactive action, was taken on his part. The girls have since gotten better. They are more amicable, and things have turned mostly positive. There's still obviously some lingering effects there. I think a couple of the girls don't talk to my daughter as much as they used to, but for the most part, they've moved past this. But this was a great opportunity for me to make sure that my daughter and my other children who saw what was going on here knew that if she was being honest, if she was acting with integrity, I would have her back to the end. And I had her back. I didn't shy away from making sure that the other parents knew what happened. I didn't shy away from making sure the principal knew what was going on when the other girls were reacting the way that they were. And that built a tremendous amount of trust between myself and my daughter. I can see it in the way that she engages with me. I know that was an extremely positive situation. So even though I would have never wished that situation to happen the way that it did, and those circumstances were certainly undesirable for a 5th grade girl to have to, see those images, and me to have that tough conversation with her about what she saw and how she needed to do the right thing, even though it might come with some undesirable consequences. That was an excellent opportunity for me to drive home the necessity of taking right action, even in the midst of uncertainty, anxiety, not knowing how things are going to turn out, but also letting her know that I'm going to lead in that example, and that when she takes right action, I will always be there to support her. And I believe that will bolster her confidence going forward as she gets older and she's dealing with greater temptations and greater things that she's just going to have to make a decision in the moment. What am I going to do? Is this the kind of action that I should be taking? Are these the kind of individuals that I should be hanging around? And I think that this instance, even early on in her life as a 5th grader, I believe is going to pay dividends in the long run. It is a great foundation that she has built for doing the right thing and seeing that her parents support her when she acts with integrity and when she acts in accordance with truth. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys today, because I believe it's a message that all parents can benefit from. Our kids need to know that they have our support. Now, I'm not saying we support our children no matter what. I'm not saying if my daughter was guilty that I do what that other mother did and dig my heels in and act like she did nothing wrong. I'm saying that when our children act with integrity, when they are honest, when they are truthful, we should be willing to have their back no matter what. When they are being truthful and honest, we should have their back. We need to defend that. We need to stand for truth. We need to stand for righteousness. If our children stand for righteousness and then we back down when some unintended consequences come their way because of it, what kind of a message does that send to them? May we never do that, fathers. Now, on the other hand, when we stand firm on our convictions, when we praise them for taking right action, when they see that we are willing to stand in the trenches with them and take those blows and fight back when needed, that develops trust. That develops intimacy. That develops a bond with our children and the mission that we are pursuing as Christians, as children of God, more than just about anything will, because we stood firm on our convictions. And my daughter saw that, and I know that laid some roots down in her life that are going to sprout up and bear fruit later on. So that's it for the episode I have for you today, man. I hope that this encourages you, admonishes you. Maybe there's an area in your life where your children have displayed some honesty or integrity, and you haven't really been sure how to stand behind them effectively. And I'm encouraging you, stand firm, stand behind them, encourage them. They will appreciate it, and it will bode you and your family well in the long run. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes, search for the Masculine by Design Mancast, leave me a 5-star review. That is the best way you can pay it forward. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Masculine Design. And I've been putting out some new YouTube videos. This podcast will actually be posted to YouTube as well. So if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would love it if you would consider doing that. Just go to YouTube, search for Masculine by Design or Craig James. I'm nearing 500 subscribers, so it'd be great to cross over that threshold. So head on over there, hit the subscribe button, and that should do it for today's podcast. I really appreciate all of you who follow and support what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm working hard to get things in a better place where I can bring you more content on a more regular basis and impact the lives of more men for their benefit, the benefit of their families, and the benefit of society. So that will do it for today, men. Until next time, this is Craig James from MasculineByDesign.com. I'm out.